Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Claire's Ciniflix Corner. So for about 2 weeks now, I have started this new series called Claire's Ciniflix Corner, in which I will be reviewing films from past and present. At the moment, I am reviewing the original Star Wars trilogy, leading up to the review of Solo, A Star Wars Story. Today, I'm going to be reviewing Star Wars Return of the Jedi Episode 6. So spoiler warning once again on this video, if you still haven't seen Return of the Jedi, why? Why? Just go, just leave. Just go and watch it, come back, watch this video, have fun with me, but for now, go watch it and we can talk about this together. For those of you who have seen it, let's talk Star Wars. Star Wars Episode 6 was directed by Richard Marquand, probably pronouncing that wrong, just like I pronounced the last director's name wrong. Once again, stars Carrie Fisher, Mark Hamill, and Harrison Ford. So something I noticed about this Star Wars film is it kind of reflects the sequences that we see in Star Wars A New Hope. Once again, we open with a Star Destroyer flying over the head of the audience, and another Death Star. Yep, that's right, the Empire have decided to build their planet destroyer again. We have Darth Vader's entrance. Now, this was very cool. I will admit, Darth Vader coming down the ramp is one of the most coolest scenes in this film, and it's just very atmospheric. You get the Empire music all over again. It just feels so, we're back to Star Wars, It feels like home. So even though we have known about the Emperor since A New Hope, and we once again see the Death Star, introducing the Emperor does give this film a new threat. Darth Vader's character is really poor in this film because although he has this huge character arc, there is a lot where it's just like, I'm not really scared of you anymore now that I know that you're Darth Vader, Luke's father. That is something that the movie lacks, but by introducing the Emperor and having him as the threat kind of brings it back to the Empire being really dark and sadistic. Just Darth Vader simply saying that the Emperor is going to come and overlook the procedure of the Death Star does give it that feeling of, oh my goodness, the Emperor is coming. Something else that's very familiar about this episode is we're on Tatooine again. There's sand, a lot of sand. Wait until we get to Attack of the Clones for that big bombshell. Thanks, Hayden Christensen. The beginning of this film starts with C-3PO and R2-D2. It just feels very nostalgic in a bad way. But as the film continues, obviously, as I say, we follow C-3PO and R2-D2 going to Jabba's palace. And there is this one line which I do not get. So C-3PO is talking to one of the robot eye things that sort of pops out of the door, and he says R2-D-Toa. Now, if he was speaking in a language, surely it would be R-Toa-D-Toa instead of R2-D-Toa, because it's R2-D2. I never got that, and it doesn't make any sense, but it's just how it is. We'll just go with it. And then we get inside Jabba's palace and we meet Jabba the Hutt, who is voiced by Larry Ward. So the detail on Jabba the Hutt with the creature effects apartment is so amazing. He even has the dribbly nose going on and that weird tongue thing. But you feel like Jabba the Hutt is a real thing. I always wondered when watching the film how an actor would actually sit in Jabba the Hutt and do all the movements. So the first introduction we get of Luke is through a hologram by R2-D2. This really shows the character development of Luke Skywalker. When we first meet Luke Skywalker in A New Hope, he is an arrogant brat, basically. He's just completely like a teenager. When we meet him in Empire Strikes Back, he has his Jedi powers and he thinks, oh, I'm a big guy now. I can go take on the Death Star, and the whole Empire, but then he loses. We get this big chunk of time where he has this chance to develop, and Luke is so much different. He's so calm, he's so collective, he's so confident. He is embracing what a Jedi should be. He is learning from what Yoda and Obi-Wan have been teaching him, and that is just really cool. But it turns out that Luke wants to sell the droids to Jabba the Hutt to get Han Solo. Well, Jabba the Hutt is like, forget that, I love my decoration, and so he takes the droid just like the greedy slug that he is. Then we get the most sadistic droid torture in the world. C-3PO walking through the underlevel of Jabba's palace, and you just get these contrasting shots of droids getting tortured. We get the dark tones created by the lighting, and it's just really intense. And even though that it's droids and you know that they're not real, there's still an emotional impact on seeing these scenes. So another comparison to New Hope is that C-3PO and R2-D2 get sold to someone. This again just brings that sense of nostalgia. It's like, we don't know what to do with this story, so we're just gonna kind of copy what happened in New Hope but put it on a flip and sell them to the bad guys. And I was just like, okay, like even some of the dialogue that's exchanged between C-3PO and this new droid is just like, didn't you say that in A New Hope? Didn't you tell someone else that you could speak different languages? Like, what's happening? One of my favorite scenes in this film is when Chewbacca is captured and is brought before Jabba the Hutt. Of course, for those of you who have seen it, you know that bounty hunter that brings Chewbacca to Jabba the Hutt is actually Leia. And this whole sequence is so cool. Like the way that Jabba the Hutt describes a female character that he does not know is a female character is just girl power. Like seriously, he's just like, oh, you are my type of bounty hunter, you are my type of scum. It's just like, yeah. And then you find out that it's Leia and it's just really cool. So Leia tries to sell Chewbacca to Jabba the Hutt for about 55,000 credits. I think that's right, if I'm wrong. Jabba the Hutt originally says no. Jabba the Hutt is threatened with a thermal detonator. Chewie gets sold to Jabba the Hutt. Side note, recently, as you know, if you play Battlefront, they've just updated some of their software and you can now get Leia's costume that she wears in Return of the Jedi in this scene, and I was so excited when they released this. Like, you even get the scrambled language. Like, oh, I'm just so excited to play as Leia in this costume. Like, it's gonna be so fun. We cut to another brilliant scene, which is where Leia frees Han Solo from the carbonite. The line of dialogue here is another one of those memorable moments. Who are you? And then Leia's just like, someone who loves you, and it's just like, oh my goodness, they're back together, this is so cool, like I've been waiting for this for so long. The big Han and Leia reuniting is just epic. But then it gets ruined when Jabba the Hutt reveals himself that he's been watching them the whole time. Then he captures Leia and Han gets thrown into prison. So another fun fact from Return of the Jedi, this is when Leia is wearing the slave costume. Carrie Fisher's infamous slave outfit was reportedly a stylistic response to her alleged complaints that the outfit she wore in the first two Star Wars movies disguised the fact that she was indeed a woman. Well, I'm guessing that if you watch this film, you can definitely tell that Carrie Fisher is a woman. Then we get this really cute scene where Han and Chewie are reunited. It's so sweet and funny, you really just feel the bromance between these two. Then we get this really powerful entrance of Luke where he's walking through the doors of Jabba's palace and he uses a force mind trick on Jabba's. You can tell that he's grown up, that he's experienced, that he's a guy who knows how to use the force now. His henchman. And then Jabba sees him and he's just like, no, like you were not supposed to let him in, like he used a stupid mind trick on you. Then Luke tries to use it on Jabba the Hutt. It doesn't work on Jabba the Hutt because it only works on the weak-minded. And Luke tries to shoot Jabba the Hutt. Luke is thrust down a hole into the Rancor dungeon. We get this big fight scene between the Rancor and Luke, and boy is this satisfying. Like when Luke finally kills this thing after his battle with it, it's just so satisfying. You're just so happy, and even though you get a shot of this guy just crying over the Rancor, you're just like, I don't care, like I'm so glad this thing is dead, like it tried to kill Luke. Boo-hoo, sad guy. The next scene, we are outside Tatooine again, and it's just really bright. Like in comparison to Jabba's palace, like this is bright, this is hopeful, something is gonna happen. There's no more of that mysterious dark tone that we had while in Jabba's palace. Then we get another infamous line by Han Solo where he backtalks Jabba the Hutt. 3PO, you tell that slimy piece of worm-ridden filth he'll get no such pleasure from us, right? And then Chewie's just not having it. So after that, it's revealed what Luke's plan really was. I mean, did he really have a plan? That's a debate for another time. So Luke, he does this nod to R2-D2, indicating that he needs his lightsaber. He pretends to jump off the barge, flips back onto the barge, then we get Boba Fett. Now, as I said, I didn't really like Boba Fett in Empire Strikes Back, and he does get better scenes in this film. So he ties up Luke Skywalker, we see his jetpack, he nearly tries and shoots Luke while he's on another barge, but then Han Solo, who's currently blind, accidentally knocks his jetpack. Boom! Boba Fett hits the barge, falls into the Sarlacc pit. I mean, why do people like this character? He literally does nothing. Like, I don't get it. We finally accept that this Boba Fett guy is actually pretty cool, and then he dies. I mean, what was the point? Like, really, what was the point? Like, I don't get it. Sorry. Fanboys out there who absolutely love Boba Fett, but it's just not cool for me. He gets his 2 minutes of fame, and that's it. No character development, no cool line, nothing. Lando Calrissian's character in this film at the beginning is kind of wasted. He's kind of just hanging at Jabba the Hutt's palace. Okay, he's watching over Han, but then he gets knocked off the barge, nearly falls to his death. But we get the funny scene of Han being blind and trying to rescue him and then nearly shooting him. And he's like, just a little higher, just a little higher. And then, yeah, that part is really funny, but Lando Calrissian's character is kind of wasted. In contrast, we get this amazing scene where Leia satisfyingly strangles Jabba the Hutt. Like, it's just so satisfying and gruesome at the same time. It's like, you want to see it, but then at the same time, you're like, he's dying right now. So then Luke Skywalker rescues Leia. We get a cool swing off the barge. Then they all fly off. We get this beautiful shot of the Millennium Falcon and the X-Wing, and they do this. Enter the Emperor. So first we get to see the Red Guards, who are really awesome. Like, their color choice contrasts with the white and black that we see of the Stormtroopers. We finally get to meet the Emperor, and he gets this really cool entrance. So the fact that the Emperor is hooded adds this mystery to this character again. It's simple. As the film progresses, slowly but surely that hood slowly comes up and you get to see more of his face and how intimidating and how scarred he is, and it's just like, man, like, what happened to this guy? So then we come to one of the saddest scenes, which is the passing of Yoda. Yoda was only in this film because George Lucas realized that a lot of people still had a problem with Darth Vader being Luke's father, and so he was literally just there to clarify that. It is a really sad scene. But even though Yoda is departing, he is so funny. We get the classic line, when 900 years old you reach, look as good, you will not. I just love it. It's like, one day when I get to 90, I might actually say that to my grandchildren. I'll just be like, when you reach 90, look as good, you will not. So in this next scene, Obi-Wan returns, and there's just this big leap of joy. You're just so happy. You're like, oh my goodness, like, even though we've just lost Yoda, like, Obi-Wan is a Force ghost. Like, it's just so nice. And then there is this really weak dialogue, which is just to clarify what Obi-Wan said in the first film. So what I told you is true from a certain point of view. It's just like, we know in New Hope that you weren't planning that Darth Vader was going to be Luke's father. Are we writing poetry here? Come on, guys. Like, okay, I get it. You made a mistake, but you don't need to clarify it with that line. Then Star Wars drops another bombshell. I feel like this next reveal was just put in because in Empire Strikes Back, the coolest scene is, of course, when Darth Vader tells Luke that he's actually his father. And so they're just like, how can we make this more interesting? Oh, let's make Leia Luke's sister. Like, what? Like, why? Like, I love it, don't get me wrong. I love the idea that Luke and Leia are brother and sister and twins. Like, that's really cool. But it's literally just to wrap a little tight bow on the top of the fact that, oh, what we're gonna do, like, do we want Luke to get with Leia or do we want Han to get with Leia? Oh, I know, let's just make it really simple. Let's just X Luke out of the whole situation and be like, no, Han goes with Leia. I mean, in comparison, why don't we just solve this problem? Let's make Hermione Granger and Harry Potter brother and sister. Like, wouldn't that be cool? So Ron can get with Hermione. Like, why? We don't need that. Then we meet some really cool characters. We meet Mon Mothma, we meet Admiral Akbar. You know what? Mon Mothma's character, although she's like one of the new introduced female characters and probably the only other female character named who actually gets name credit besides Leia. I mean, Leia is the only female character in New Hope and Empire Strikes Back. Like, has everyone noticed that, how weird that is? But yeah, in Return of the Jedi we get Mon Mothma. Didn't think much of her, to be honest. Like, yes, it's a new female character, but we didn't need it. Well, we did, but yeah. Then we get Admiral Akbar. He's just presented as this general. Like, you're like, man, I trust this guy. Like, he looks like he knows his business. He's lovable. You can tell that he's dedicated to the war that he's fighting. Like, when I was watching this again, I was just like, man, I can't wait to see Admiral Akbar in action again. Han gives Lando the Falcon, which is a really touching scene because you can really see the pain in Han's eyes. He's about to give up this Millennium Falcon to Lando again. It's just like, you better not scratch it. And yeah, he scratches it. He takes off the disc. So once again, we get to see Darth Vader. Now, as I say, Darth Vader's character in this is very weak But when he gets back aboard the Star Destroyer and they have that whole scene where Han Solo is trying to get to the planet so that they can defuse the shield on the Death Star, Darth Vader is again intimidating. He's in the lead. You know that he's in control of the Star Destroyer that they're on, and so it's just like, why aren't you like this the rest of the film? We get to Endor. Han ruins the plan by alerting the stormtroopers to their location. Then we have this really cool scene where Luke and Leia are on the speeder bikes and they fly through the forest. The CGI, you can tell, is pretty bad in this sequence, but that wasn't really their fault. That was what they had at the time that they were filming. It's just this really cool sequence where they're just flying through the woods, and you do enjoy it. It's enthralling, it's entertaining, it's what you want. Then Leia gets kicked off the speeder bike. She meets Warwick Davis, who is Wicket. This scene is very simple, it's very small, but I love it. Like, I think it's so cute. Warwick Davis in this scene is so good. He was a young actor at this time, but like, you feel like he's a jungle character. Like, this Wicket character could be real, could be really living in Endor somewhere. And Carrie Fisher's acting is just so adorable. Like, everything in this scene is so cool. Her costume is so cool. The environment is so cool. Oh my goodness. But still, stormtroopers cannot shoot. There's a sequence where they are on the log, like Leia and Wicket, and a stormtrooper tries to shoot them. Now, stormtroopers, as we know, cannot shoot, but this is so bad. I can shoot better on Battlefront, and I'm not even that good. Why? You guys are supposed to be an Imperial army. Like, why are you not shooting? Why? So there is a debate that has been since How I Met Your Mother, I think, but even probably before that, between whether you like Ewoks or if you don't like Ewoks.
Ultimately, Ewoks split Star Wars fandom into two camps. Those born before and those born after May 25th, 1973. The Ewok line. Anyone born on this side of the Ewok line was at least 10 years old when Jedi came out, and thus too old for something so cloying and cute. Anyone born on this side loved the Ewoks.
I want to know, are you an Ewok fan, or are you, I don't like Ewoks, they're not cute, they're annoying, get rid of them. Then we have this scene where Han, Chewbacca, C-3PO, R2-D2 and Luke all get captured by the Ewoks. They nearly get sacrificed to C-3PO, who the Ewoks see as a god, and then Luke uses his force powers, scares them. Then they give us this backstory of the previous two movies. Then we get this really emotional scene, which if you've seen mine and Katie's Star Wars tag, you'll know this is Katie's favourite scene, and it also has a very special place in my heart, but it's when Luke reveals to Leia that Darth Vader is his father and that Leia is his sister. Carrie Fisher's acting in this is spot on. Like, you can tell the emotional impact that this has on her character, that Luke Skywalker is a brother, and the way she acts this is perfect. And we also have the infamous line which was used in the Force Awakens trailer, which is, "The Force is strong in my family. I have it. My father has it. My sister has it. Somehow, I've always known." It's just so cool. Like, I just love it so much. Luke then runs off to get captured by Darth Vader. Han comes in and he's just kind of in the middle of it. He did, like, Leia's crying. He's kind of a little harsh to her because he doesn't understand why, and then he gives her a really big hug. Again, Leia's performance, you can just tell, like, that would be so hard. Like, can you imagine finding out that Hitler was your dad and that the guy that is going to save you from this big war happens to be your brother? Like, that would be insane. Luke Skywalker gets captured by Darth Vader, and we have this really good dialogue between the two of them. Luke's character development in this scene really proves that he is a Jedi, like Yoda says before he dies. Even though he's captured, he calmly says to Darth Vader, "Look, I know there's good in you. I know that you're my father, and so because of that, I'm gonna try and turn you to the good. Like, the Emperor doesn't have power over you. You have power over your own decisions. I know that you won't kill me because you know that I'm your son." It just shows the dynamic change that this has made on Luke and Darth Vader. Now that Darth Vader knows he has a son, there is a little bit more compassion because he is human. There's conflict. You can just tell through the actor inside of Darth Vader that he has conflict within him. The way that the scene is shot, the camera work, the close-ups, the distance shots, like, it's just so cool, and you're just like, okay, really and truly, Darth Vader is conflicted. So we get three scenes that the end of this film cuts between. There's one scene where the rebels are trying to get to the base in order to shut down the Death Star's shield. We get the space battle, which in my opinion, is one of the best space battles in the original Star Wars. Like, Empire Strikes Back doesn't really have a lot of space battles. This film does. And then we get, of course, the throne scene. The Rebels scene is really cool. Like, you have the whole thing where they get captured, and then they have this big battle with the Ewoks that help them to defeat stormtroopers. You have that really nice scene between Han and Leia where Han's like, I love you, and Leia's like, I know, and then she shoots the stormtrooper. You have the big reveal that Chewbacca is actually inside of the AT-ST. It's just a really good scene. The space battle, as I say, is one of the best space battles. You get to see Akbar in his leadership position. He's awesome, he's cool. You get to see General Lando Calrissian. Part of me kind of wishes that Han had been the one inside the Millennium Falcon, just because Lando just seems like he was shoved into it because they didn't know what else to do with him. But it's really cool. It's nice to see someone else in the Millennium Falcon, but part of me just wishes it had been Han. You get this really cool space battle. They destroy the Death Star. The scene that I want to talk about most though is between Luke and Darth Vader. The battle between Luke and Darth Vader starts off with a shot over the Emperor, the two lightsabers. So you get the green and the red, and it's so cool. Like, it's a simple shot, but it just looks so epic and it's so memorable. Like, it's one of the things that I remember when I think of this film. Then you get the really cool dialogue between Darth Vader and Luke as they have this battle. Like, there's a point where Luke is just like, Father, I don't want to fight you. And Darth Vader's like, you should not have lowered your defenses. And then he goes again. And then Darth Vader's just like pulling like full effort at Luke. Luke just doesn't want to fight. And then you have the scene where Darth Vader's looking for Luke and he starts sensing Luke's feelings and he realizes that he has a sister, and we get the most epic line, sister. And it's like my dad's favorite scene to act out, like, because he has daughters. Whenever he's talking to Katie or me about each other, he'll go, where is your sister? And he just loves it. And then Luke flips. He just changes. Like, the moment it's like, you do not talk about my sister like that, and he just goes full effort on Darth Vader. He's hacking at Darth Vader. He like cuts his arm off. Like, these scenes are so gruesome. You're just like, no, Luke, like, don't do this, like, don't act, you're gonna turn to the dark side. And then he realizes, he's like, no, throws away the lightsaber, and he's just like, no, I'm not gonna fight anymore. Like, he's my father. I am a Jedi like my father before me. And the Emperor's just like, if you will not kill him, then I'm gonna kill you. And so he starts electrocuting him. Darth Vader gets up. We get the shots between Luke and Darth Vader and the Emperor, and he's just like, no, forget it. Throws the Emperor down, and just like, yes, Darth Vader. And then Luke carries Darth Vader to his ship. We see Darth Vader's face, and you get this really emotional dialogue between the two of them. I still sometimes cry when I watch this film, just how sad like this scene is. Luke Skywalker boards the ship, saves Darth Vader, flies away, Death Star gets destroyed, boom. We have the cremation scene where Luke cremates his father. Again, a really emotional scene. And then we get the final scene. Everything's just tied up, everything's fine. We get the Ewok song, which is so funny. We get the Force Ghosts. We see Obi-Wan, Anakin Skywalker, and Yoda all as Force Ghosts. And then you can just get this beautiful shot of them just together, and it's like, this is my film, man. Like, oh, it's just so happy. In conclusion, this film is so good. There are a lot of problems that I have with it, as you've seen from this review. But overall, I'm gonna give Star Wars Return of the Jedi a 4 out of 5. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a comment below. Let me know, Ewoks, no Ewoks. I love you guys, have a really good day, and I'll see you on the other side.
You do need to smile more and a bit more enthusiastic.
I thought I was really enthusiastic on Empire Strikes Back. And then there was the tired one, so I have to do it the second time.
Like, calm down, just act normal.
I am.
No entrance allowed.
Any pots in here?
No. So for those of you who still don't know what I'm doing on this channel, who is this girl? At the moment. Oh my gosh. It's like editing at the moment. So today I'm going to be reviewing Star Wars Episode 6. No. No, this is my review. I will do it.
to you.
No. And today I'm going to be reviewing...
Wait, don't forget it. Go.
At the moment...
So I'll tell you it and then you can say it, right? Where are we?
Nowhere, I'm finished. Carrie Fisher's infamous. The next scene we cut to is we're outside, it's hot, it's deserty.
Why didn't you just say what I just said?
3PO, you tell that slimy piece of worm-filled ridden. And then Chewie's all like, rah! Satisfactory.
Satisfying.
What?